and welcome to Comics with Jose. My name is Jose. I love comics and I want to share them with you. Follow me on Twitter at Art of J Velez or on Instagram at jvelez622. I share some doodles and drawings as well as a comic book that I'm working on free of charge. Like, follow, and subscribe if you enjoy this. We'll go over comic books that I have and enjoy. However, I do use the digital version for the purposes of this. We kind of review the artwork and the story of comic books that I think are pretty cool and I think people should read and get. Hope you enjoy it. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me again here as we go over my favorite subject, comic books. Today, we're going to just look at the miniseries The Sentry, published in 2000. I do not have the individual issues. I do have this trade paperback, just like this. So, this covers the first 5 issues, written by Paul Jenkins with art by Jay Lee. And the colorist Jose Villarrubia. By the way, he does an incredible job coloring this thing. And Jay Lee is such an incredible artist. That's the main reason I want to look at this, is because of Jay Lee here. So, what this was is in the late 90s, Paul Jenkins and Rick Veitch developed an idea about an over-the-hill guy struggling with addiction who had a tight relationship with his dog into a proposal for the Marvel Knights imprint of Marvel Comics, which at that time was done by Quesada. I love Jay Lee's art. It's very dark. He's such an ink slinger. It's just different, and I think that's why I enjoy it so much. Um, so anyway, so Marvel Knights was an imprint of Marvel Comics during the mid '90s to the late 2000s. Anyway, Jenkins had conceived the character as a guardian type with a watchtower and came up with the name Sentry after he had previously considered the name Centurion. So, Rick Veitch suggested that the character could be woven into the history of the Marvel Universe with versions of the characters from the 1940s depicted in artistic styles matching the comic books of each period. So Veitch also suggested that due to some cataclysmic event, all recollection of the Sentry would have been removed from everyone's memory, including his own. So Jenkins and Veitch decided that they would create not only a fictional history of the Sentry within the Marvel Universe, but a fictional publication in the real world complete with imaginary creators. Jenkins then pitched the idea to Marvel Knights editor Joe Quesada. Quesada decided to commission the miniseries and decided that Jay Lee should draw it because Jenkins and Jay Lee did really well on the Inhumans uh, miniseries for Marvel Knights the first time. So in that, I think we will also go through because Jay Lee is just fascinating. What I'm pointing at here is just the job. Villarrubia looks like he watercolored this. I mean, it's just amazing. This is all done digitally, but look at this. Very cool. And Jay Lee, like I said, Jay Lee, his art is different. So if you're kind of not used to seeing this and you like those clean Jim Lee and the clean artist, he's probably not for you and you probably go, "Oh my god." But I like him. Um just the spotting of blacks. I just love when artists just spot them whenever. Again, look at the colors just looking like watercolor. I doubt that he watercolored this. I'm pretty sure this was all early digital coloring. But I think that's the cool part. So we'll kind of go through with what's happening here in just a second here. So part of the whole mythos is that he has like a bad guy clone. Um, it's similar to like Alan Moore's Miracle Man. So his evil alter ego, I think, is called the Void. So, so the Void is like trying to make a, also trying to come. He's remembering, and so is the Void. So, I really do like. I know that this is different, with all the, Jay Lee, like I said, spotting all this black. It can be a little, to some people, it's just not their cup of tea. Art is subjective. I do love it. Part of the thing that I like, and I do copy it in my own work, is the hair. Just the how he does these curves. I've actually copied that into my own style. So if you head over to my Instagram or my Twitter account, you will see in my drawings how I kind of do that as well. So my Twitter is at Art of J Velez, and my Instagram is jvelez622. So here's kind of where we're going into the drawing of it's still Jay Lee, but he's drawing in the style of others, um, of those eras. So basically, his name is Bob Reynolds, and he's a super whose power of 1 million exploding suns is basically, which is derived from a special serum. So it's kind of pretty cool. So um, there was a magazine during this era called Wizard, and it just kind of even made it sound like it was a real thing created by Stan Lee, and because Stan Lee doesn't remember a lot of things, he just goes, well, sure, why not? But they had people thinking that this was John Romita and Stan Lee creation. So here, Reed Richards is remembering. He gave him like a phrase, so he's remembering. He's remembering him, and so here's the parts where he was. This is in John Byrne style. So he's remembering kind of being on the wedding and all that stuff. So um, it's a good series. But like I said, I'm here for the art. Notice how he doesn't do any hatching. That's really cool. I mean, Jay Lee just lays straight black lines and no hatching, or very few. Because here's a little bit, but for the most part, he just spots blacks. There's a another artist called Andrea Sorrentino. He's Italian, and this is the wedding of Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman, and Sentry's there. So anyway, he draws very similar to Jay Lee's style. So I'm basically going to try and give you kind of the origin of the Sentry here. So in March of 1947, Canada's Department K and remnants of the United States Operation Rebirth, which I believe is the one that created Captain America, pooled their resources to become Project Sentry in an attempt not only to recreate the super soldier serum, but in post-war hubris magnify its effects 100,000 times over. Unfortunately, within 30 years, it had been divided into nearly thousands of isolated sub-projects with lab works framed out to private contractors. the overall administration of the project was virtually none. Precisely when all of its resources ended up over the decades, what they might have begun and what they were ultimately led to is currently unknown. Then over the oh, this is kind of cool with the um, warning. Like I said, this series was um, different, man. It was so cool. Just Jay Lee's style is very cool. I like it. So over the 10 years later, Robert Reynolds was a meth addict who broke into the laboratory of an unnamed professor, and it was there that he discovered the golden Sentry serum. Consuming it, the compound, Robert Reynolds gained the power of 1 million exploding suns. This act killed his partner and the lab's guards. He then asked the professor to make him more of the compound here. So that is, in a nutshell, kind of what what happened here. So the Project Sentry, appalled at what their irresponsibly had wrought, persuaded Reynolds to let them test his powers at their facilities, but they could not contain him nor curb his desire to use the power for the greater good of all. And the Sentry debuted before the world that almost had forgotten superhuman Samaritans. And after trouncing the school bully who had tormented him, Reynolds sewn a costume and made his debut as the heroic Sentry. Then this is Jay Lee's version of the Hulk. Um, it's Man, this series, like I said, if um it was different. That is for sure. So the Sentry was an optimistic and socially accepted hero who stood in marked constant to mostly freakish nature of the other heroes. He had connections to basically the heroes of that time: Mr. Fantastic, Iron Man, the Hulk, Spider Man, Professor X. One of the very few superheroes active during the years just prior to the Fantastic Four emergence. The Sentry gained new importance when the new wave of heroes rose to prominence. Almost instantly deducing Spider Man's secret identity, he became a role model for the young hero, as well as an ally to the X Men and equal to Reed Richards and friend to the outcast Hulk. The Sentry even battled Doctor Doom alongside the Fantastic Four and defeated his greatest enemy, the General, with the X Men's aid. Real quick, look at this different Spider-Man. Look at him spotting blacks. Most of the time, you don't see people draw Spider-Man with so much black. I like the fact that he gives him a nose. I actually started also trying to incorporate a nose into Spider-Man when he is in costume. So I try to use I draw digitally also, and I try to um, use a I do the black as well, but then I soften it to maybe 10% so you can just see um, just a touch of it. But I try to do, like here, the nose and the mouth. I try to incorporate that too. But look at this. This is just so different. I mean, you see the Spider-Man drawn by Jay Lee, and it just does not look like anybody else's. Nobody else would put this much black. Maybe Mike Mignola, but that's about it. So very different. I love I love so much about this. It's just so different. It is so different to when you look at certain comic books like this, because they're just not your average um, your average comic book. It just doesn't look like this. So this is just really cool. So kind of going back, and I'm almost wrapping up here. I'm basically reading from the Marvel Wiki page, and I'm just looking at the Sentry um, entry that they have there. So during the period that we were talking about, the Sentry married the love of his life, Lindy, and took the young scout as his sidekick. Lindy got swept up in all the excitement and at the prospect of meeting the other heroes, she eventually learned of Robert's addiction but did nothing about it. She even feared that taking the serum must have awakened something of biblical proportions. She later stated that she would have killed him in their wedding night. So there was definitely something dark here, and that's what the Void is. The Void is like an alter ego per se. So of the Sentry. Now, Doctor Strange here looks perfect with Jay Lee's style. Just looks, if you, his style fits perfectly to that. Like if you, Jay Lee did I think a 3 issue Spider-Man run after Todd McFarlane had left. There was a couple of artists. Man, Jay Lee, man, he's a cool drawer. It's just cool to see him that. But he did 3 issues of Spider-Man, so now we're in part 4. This is really cool here. The art of Jay Lee. So 2 issues to go after this one. So there's Professor X. So and Rogue, Wolverine, Nightcrawler. So he also does beautiful covers. Jay Lee is a great cover artist. And he's got a few creator-owned projects out there. I recommend that if you get a chance, pick up some of Jay Lee's work. It's worth having. I have that Spider-Man run of his. Like I said, it was 3 issues. I have both a Sentry graphic novels. I don't have any of the original issues. I do have the um, trades, the 2 trade paperbacks, not graphic novels. So so yeah, the Void, like I said, the Void is I believe it's him. Um I'm no longer looking at that website, so um but I believe that that's who the Void is. It's his own repressed persona powered by the Sentry, so which I think is what led to uh, everyone kind of making him forget, or him making everybody forget. So I kind of haven't looked at this for a while, so it's really cool. Just refreshing, seeing all this here. It's just something you don't see, you don't see in most comic books, this type of art, and I think that's what makes it so cool. So so yeah, I believe that the Void is the reason that he had forgotten everything. Um, so it's a cool idea. Um, the this this concept is very cool. I am surprised that the Sentry did not become more popular than. I know that Brian Bendis tried to put him in Avengers, and a few other things, but he just never really took off in big popularity. Um, he's just kind of there. So I was just making sure that he was really missing an arm because I was like, wait, did he just thought maybe I missed something? So, like I said, look at all this black. Oh, a lot of people would be terrified to spot this much black, but I like I said, Jay Lee, Chris Samney, Andrea Sorrentino, Eduardo Rizzo. Eduardo Rizzo is with 100 Bullets. He's also quite the drawer. I really, really, really enjoy Eduardo Rizzo. Of all the people that spot all these blacks, he's probably one of my favorites. Um, Sean Phillips, who works a lot with Ed Brubaker, also spots a lot of blacks. Um, So if you get a chance, if you like something similar to this, all these artists, they're all different. Meaning, now Andreas Orentino is very close. He does a lot of these sharp lines as well, but everybody else just kind of spots a lot of blacks, but not necessarily in the Jay Lee style. Eduardo Rizzo, I believe he is Argentinian, but I could be wrong. Um, like I said, his run in 100 Bullets and subsequent works with Brian Azzarello, um, well worth checking him out. So, Chris Samney is another one whose work I really enjoy, and we'll definitely have to catch something with Chris Samney's here. So, look at this Spider-Man. It's just so different looking at Spider-Man more than anybody else. Spider-Man just looks weird with all this black, but because nobody else does this, it just looks cool. Nobody else would spot this many blacks on Spider-Man. So I think this is Scout, and like I said, I haven't read this in forever, but Scout was his sidekick. So feel free to check out the Marvel Wiki, or buy these and read them. So I just kind of giving you an overview of the whole thing. So I forgot that this includes some of the miniseries, the trade. There was some one shots that had come out. So we'll just kind of go and look through them really quick here. This one here I think is done by Rick Leonardi, who did Spider-Man 2099. Yep, Rick Leonardi, and Terry Austin was the A inker, the A plus inker of the 80s. So Terry Austin did that run with John Byrne in X-Men and the Days of Futures Past and all that stuff. So Rick Leonardi is a big fill-in artist of the X-Men. He had a run in Spider-Man 2099. I've always said he deserved more than just being just relegated to these projects. I don't know why he just couldn't get more stuff. He did a 2 issue stint featuring Wolverine and Daredevil that I recently recorded, and you'll probably find it on my channel here. So this is kind of going through how the Sentry was involved back in the day. So this just gives you more information of of everything that's going on here. So kind of dealing with the Void. So at this time we didn't know who the Void really was, but it's just kind of cool to just kind of look at this. So we're just kind of, like I said, we're just moving along here. I believe there's 4 of these. I think there's this one here, and then I think there is a Fantastic Four one and a Hulk one. Um, the Hulk one, this is, I believe, done with by Bill Sienkiewicz. Yep, Bill Sienkiewicz does the Hulk, and Bill Sienkiewicz is absolutely one of the greatest illustrators that there is. He does pencil, ink, he does watercolor, he does um, everything. He does everything, and he is such a creative artist. That's the thing about him. He's just so creative. Um, Like I always say, it's subjective. I know you probably look at this and go, "Oh my God, my 2-year-old can do better." Trust me, this man is a master of his craft. Check out all his, follow him on Instagram. Beautiful, beautiful illustrations that he does. Um, so his pen and ink is very sloppy, and that's what makes it so cool. It's just a different style, and he works fast. If you take a look, I mean these are, I want to say they're almost angry. He draws so fast. So um that's what makes it kind of cool. So he does not draw like anybody else. A lot of people try to imitate him, but he is one of those that's only him. So this is, these little series were just kind of just to show the Sentry meeting. This is a double page spread here. Um, just showing the Sentry throughout the years dealing with some of Marvel's heroes. So, and his name is Sienkiewicz, but it looks like it's Sinkowicz. So this is Mark Teixeira painting. So Mark Teixeira is known as Tex for Teixeira, but he is another ink slinger. He's another one I strongly recommend. He spots a lot of blacks, but I believe this is all done in watercolor. He's a big brush artist, so he draws nice, thick brush strokes. So, uh, very, very cool. I think when I'm done with that, there's a comic book that I'm working on. I think my next one. By the way, my comic book's available on Twitter, so it's all free of charge. No Patreon here, no nothing, man. I know the times are tough. I do this for fun, so you don't have to buy anything. So just if you like it, just put a like. That's it. But I'm gonna try to do a digital painting comic book like similar to this. Mark Teixeira did some Ghost Riders. He's done had a short run on Wolverine. Had I mean he's done quite a few projects. Got some creator owned. He is also one of those artists that are very cool, and I strongly recommend if you see anything by Mark Teixeira, give it give it a try. Um, he mostly does black and white. He does some inking, so the dude can definitely draw. So honestly, I couldn't tell you what this story is about. I haven't looked at this in forever, so I think now we're back to continuing our story. So those 4 issues or 3 issues, um, kind of just fit between parts 5 and 6. So we are now in our last issue. So another double page spread. So basically, once the Sentry had repressed his memories, but now that they're back, so is the Void. So everybody now is like, oh my God, how are we gonna stop this? Because he's so strong. So, and there's another miniseries, I believe. The second miniseries is done. by John Romita Jr. That one could be the third. I believe there's three. I think Jay Lee may have done um, two of them, and then John Romita Jr. did the one. So, so it looks like there was just two, and then so John Romita does the next one. So Jay Lee just does this one, and I know, like I said, Brian Bendis puts him in the Avengers. I think he's got a beard and long hair when that happens. So, like I stated in the beginning, I have this in the trades. I never got the original issues. So, here we go. The end. So, hope you like looking at Jay Lee's art. That's the main reason I kind of chose to do this. This is the Sentry Volume 1 by Jenkins as the writer, and Jay Lee is the artist. And then a couple fill in with Bill Sienkiewicz and Mark Teixeira and Rick Lunardi. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.